Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer. The first one in like a week. I know it's been a while. I had my graduation come up, and then I'm going through some personal matters at the moment. So it's just kind of been a lot for me. I haven't really had my access to my recording equipment at sometimes as well. So it's been a lot. I'm sorry it's been so sporadic, especially at a time where we've got playoff basketball going on. It's the conference finals. So I just want to apologize before we get into this video. I promise I'm going to try and get videos more consistently. But like I said, there are some things going on. So if it is still a little sporadic going forward, I apologize. But I'm going to do my best to try and get back on daily to every other day uploads. Also, sorry if the lighting looks weird or the setup looks bad. I just got home from college like a couple hours ago, so I haven't had a ton of time to set things up, but I really want to get back in front of y'all on the camera and talk about some hoops. So here I am doing exactly that. So I appreciate all of y'all's support over the course of this absence. Y'all are amazing. Please leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy. It helps me out a lot. So like I said, it's one of the most important times of the year in basketball, which sucks that I disappeared during that time, but the conference finals have been going on. Golden State Warriors versus Dallas Mavericks, Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. And the conference finals are supposed to be the top four teams, if not maybe like four of the top like 5, 6 teams in the NBA battling it out in some of the highest level basketball, second highest level basketball behind the NBA finals that we see every single year. It's supposed to be this incredible series on both sides, and coming into it, I really expected them to be really fun series. We saw the Dallas Mavericks take down the Phoenix Suns, who were my pick to win the NBA championship coming into the playoffs in 7 games. Luka Doncic has been phenomenal. 3-point shooters like Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, backup guard, Spencer Dinwiddie, starting guard Jalen Brunson, all of these guys, all these great role players have been so phenomenal for that team. Jason Kidd has done an incredible job. And you have the Golden State Warriors, who are looking to continue their dynasty. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson trying to make it back to another finals next to Steve Kerr. They're one of the deepest teams in the league too, from everyone like veterans, for example, guys like Kevon Looney, who I guess isn't necessarily maybe a veteran, but he's a little bit older and he's been so reliable for them. Bench players like Otto Porter, young guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody have had played some really decent minutes so far in these playoffs. Just guys all over the roster. Jordan Poole has been an incredible most improved player candidate type guy. They're just really good. They're a really good team. They're really deep. On the other side, like I mentioned, you've got the Miami Heat, who came into this as the 1 seed. So many people doubted them, and they took down the new look Sixers. Boston Celtics coming into it being one of the hottest teams we've ever seen in the second half of a season, taking down the defending champs. So you've got 4 really good basketball teams that are deep, have star power on all sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And we've had horrible conference finals. It sucked. There's been blowouts left and right. There have only been 3 single digit games in these conference finals, and both have played like 4 games up to this point. So 3 of the 8 have been single digit games, and the lowest margin of victory has been 9, I believe, up to this point. They're hardly even single digit games. A lot of those games, one of them, in fact, that just happened with Miami versus Boston the other day, was just because the Celtics made this big comeback right at the end after there were some injuries on both sides, but it really never even got that close. Tonight's game was a 10-point win for Dallas, winning their first game of the series. And it was like a 28-point game coming into the quarter, and then you had Kuminga, Damian Lee, Jordan Poole, Moses Moody, and Nemanja Bjelica, who came in and just started wrecking house against the Mavericks out of nowhere. The Mavs put in their starters, and they kind of shut it down, but they did bring it to an 8-point game, so it was kind of close for part of it. But for a majority of the runtime of these games, it's been complete blowouts. It really hasn't been close, which sucks, because we have 4 really good teams. We've got stars: Steph, Luka, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Klay, Draymond, Jalen Brunson's trying to become a star, Jordan Poole. We've got so many big names, so many fun players, and it's like new teams. These are teams that we haven't seen in the conference finals in like a couple seasons, and this combination of teams like the Mavericks haven't made it in a really long time. The Warriors took a couple year hiatus. The Celtics and Heat were in it a couple years ago, but coming into the season were doubted by a lot of people. We've got some really good matchups. It's not like we're seeing the exact same things from last season and this season playing out again, and we're like, oh, here's the same old, same old. It's new, it's fresh, and we've got two really good teams on both sides of the bracket. It just doesn't matter. It's just complete blowouts. And even at the end of the conference semifinals, like our 2 game 7s, the Suns got decimated, and the Celtics really beat up on the reigning champion Milwaukee Bucks in their game 7 as well. They weren't even close. The last really like truly close game we got, and it wasn't even really that close, was Sixers versus Heat, like the last game that they played, game 6. But even that really wasn't that close. We haven't seen a close game since like Celtics Bucks game 6 or something like that. There's probably something else I'm forgetting, but that was like the last close game I feel like we've seen. And that was like what, like 2.5 weeks ago? We haven't really seen a lot of competitive basketball, and it really sucks. Like, I know I've been obviously gone, but like, even if I was here, I don't really know what I'd have been talking about that much, because it's like, what? I just come on here and say, wow, guys, that game sucked. I appreciate y'all watching. See y'all later. Real one, say it back. Like, is that what I would say in the video? I don't really know. Let's kind of go through some of the things I guess I've seen in these series up to this point, because I still have been trying to watch as much basketball as possible. I haven't caught every single game, but we've seen some big performances from, like tonight, we had a good one from Luka. Steph Curry's had some pretty solid performances. Out east, Jason Tatum just had an incredible game, catalyzing the Celtics to a massive win, 102-82 the other day. Victor Oladipo went off for the Heat. He had more points than like all the Heat starters combined. Jimmy Butler really struggled. Bam Adebayo continues to kind of struggle being aggressive at times. We saw him in game 3, the one where the Celtics ended up losing by 6, which I now see is the lowest win margin that we've seen. But in that game, like, Bam Adebayo was aggressive from the get-go, and that was a game where I believe the Celtics didn't have Robert Williams, so maybe that was kind of one of the reasons. But like right off the bat, he had 12 points in like the first quarter, and it made them so much better. So I don't know why Bam isn't more aggressive. When he's aggressive, he looks like a top 20 player in the league, and then sometimes he'll kind of just fall back and kind of get passive, and that really hinders the Heat's ability to score, especially against a great defense like Boston, because they can kind of just focus on the shooters. They don't really have to focus that much on staying down low, even though this Celtics team defense, especially like that last game, which is the last game that I really watched a lot. I watched this Warriors Mavs one, but like I said, I was driving home from college, so I missed the first half. But that Celtics Heat game, I watched pretty much the whole thing with my roommate, and him being a Celtics fan, like, he was going crazy. He was talking all about like, oh, the Celtics are going to the championship and things like that. And if they keep playing team defense the way they did in that game, they totally can, because the way that they rotate, the way that they continue, they just kept forcing misses. The Heat started off, they had 1 point through like 8 minutes of the first quarter last game. 1 point, and then they ended up like hitting a couple shots. I think they ended up with like a little over 10 by the end of the first quarter, but it was like the first time, or the lowest point total scored in a conference finals game through that amount of time in Heat franchise history, and in like the last like 25-30 years or so. That Celtics defense is legit. The problem is the offense has been going cold a lot. We've seen it where, like that game, game 1, they lost 107-118. Game 3, they lost 103-109. They brought that one back a little bit at the end when they really caught fire. But other than that, like, section of the game, they really couldn't score. So it's really been a defensive battle on both sides. And I think part of the reason why we're seeing so many blowouts is the physicality of like a series like Boston versus Miami. They've really both beat each other up a lot. The Celtics, even last game when they were winning, were getting fouled a ton. They shot 1 million free throws, it felt like. So they're really having to work for those wins. They're just a physical team by nature, playing the two bigs, really bullying down low at times, throwing up a lot of lobs, a lot of isolations and things like that. Like, they are a team that really works for their buckets at times, and I think part of that kind of takes a toll. And so they'll go out there, they'll really work hard to get their buckets, and they'll just kind of get tired after winning. And then the next game, the Heat do the same thing, and it's like a cycle back and forth, because it is a 2-2 series. It's what we've been seeing. One team will win in kind of a big way, the other team comes back and wins in a big way, the other team comes back. Like, it's just back and forth. And I wonder if it is because partially that these are two just really physical, defensive, hardworking teams, and that it's just reached a point where they're kind of burnt out. I think it was Keith Smith, Celtics reporter, who made a good suggestion that maybe they should have 2 days between some of these games. Like, you have games 1 and 2, you take 2 days of travel. Then you have games 3 and 4, you take 2 days of travel, and then you could always do like a 1-1, like back to back to back for the last 3 games. Otherwise, it's going to just be a lot of time in between. So maybe you could do something like that to decrease the amount of stress that you're putting on the players' bodies, give them more time to rest and recover to maybe prevent some of these blowouts. And for the other series, the Warriors are just kind of killing the Mavs. Other than tonight's game, like I mentioned, where the Mavericks went insane, the Warriors won 112 to 87, 126 to 117, 109 to 100. Like, it really hasn't been close. They've just been really outclassing them. And I think maybe that has to do with the Mavs. They're a team that really has a ton of variance. And we saw that tonight where it all went their way. But if they're not hitting their threes, they really are not like that prolific. They still do have Luka, who sometimes can really just force things to happen, but they have to hit their threes, especially against a team like the Warriors, who have this consistent, well-run offense that it feels like they're always able to get the type of shots that they want. Whether or not they fall, that's another story. But they always kind of get good looks, whereas the Mavericks, it's a little more clunky at times. They still do get a lot of good looks, but they're a lot more contested. The Warriors just seem to be finding a lot of open shots, and I think that is kind of just that championship pedigree that they've been together for this long. They have this system. They know what they have to do. Everyone on that roster, even the guys that, like I mentioned, even those veterans, those solid players, like an Otto Porter or like a Jordan Poole, who haven't been there that long, who are kind of newer to the system, haven't been on the championship runs that some of those other guys have, they're still able to kind of buy into the system and learn it pretty quickly. And so I think that's kind of just what's carrying the Warriors. I kind of all all playoffs have been a little bit shaky on Golden State. I don't know what it was. I was really high on them earlier in the season, and then they got hurt, and then Steph Curry just kind of never looked like Steph Curry for most of the year. And I think that's maybe what threw me off a little bit. But the Warriors are really proving that thought process wrong. They're 1 game away from their first NBA Finals in like 3 years or something like that, and continuing their dynasty, which it's impressive the way that they were able to retool, come back. I kind of want to make a video talking about that. So if you do want to see that, please let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, the conference finals have kind of reeked. They've kind of been mediocre. So I guess it was a decent time to take a little bit of a hiatus. Like I said, I'm going to try and get videos coming out pretty regularly, but it might be hard to get that going all the time. So I'm going to do my best. I appreciate y'all sticking with me. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy seeing this back. Shout out to the guy, I forget who their name now, but they've commented on a lot of my videos, and they put on my community post saying like, oh, like I have graduation, like I'm not going to be posting for a few days. And he said that he watches all my videos while he eats, and that he hasn't eaten in a few days because of me. I'm glad you can finally eat now. I hope that you enjoy that meal a lot. But for right now, I think that's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts on the conference finals, maybe some of your reasoning behind why we're seeing so many blowouts, and if you think the NBA finals will be a little bit better. I hope that when these series end and these teams get a little bit of time to rest leading up to the finals, that maybe that'll kind of fix the blowout issue. Hopefully so, because we had a really fun playoffs leading up to the conference finals, and then things kind of just fell apart at the end of the semis. Conference finals have not been great. We'll see. Hopefully the NBA finals are a little bit better. But for right now, I appreciate y'all watching. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy. It helps me out way more than you can imagine. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.